Joining me now to talk about this all, Republican Senator Johnny Isakson of Georgia. He serves on the Senate Health, Education, Labor, and Pensions Committee. He's also chair of the Select Committee on Ethics. Senator, always good to have you with us. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jake. Good to be with you.
So I just want to start with actually some breaking news on a press call just now. Your colleague, Senator Blumenthal, Democrat of Connecticut, who met today with Supreme Court nominee Neil Gorsuch, said that Gorsuch used the words demoralizing and disheartening to describe President Trump's attacks on individual judges in the Ninth Circuit and out west. This is according to Senator Blumenthal, but this is the president's Supreme Court nominee. What do you make of it?
Well, I have to go by what you're saying as a quote from somebody else. I'm surprised that he would repeat that if that was in fact what was said, but I can't deny it because I wasn't there to hear it.
Do you have any thoughts on whether it's appropriate for the president to talk about judges the way he has been?
Donald Trump has taken it on himself to talk about anything he wants to within 140 characters, and I don't think judges would be off limits, according to him.
All right, let's move to the topic of his labor secretary nominee. Puzder is by far not the first nominee to learn he had hired an undocumented worker, but others in the past, including Linda Chavez and Zoe Baird, they've withdrawn their nominations. Do you think that Mr. Puzder needs to do the same?
I think we need to get all the totality of the evidence in and the statements that have been made, and certainly he'll have a decision to make if he wants to stay in, and if he does, we'll have a decision to make as to whether or not he's the secretary that's confirmed. But that'll all be coming up next week. I think the hearing is set for Monday.
It is interesting, though, if one were to have a Secretary of Labor who had employed an illegal immigrant, an undocumented immigrant, especially for President Trump, who has made illegal immigration and combating it such a big issue. Now, Mr. Puzder says once he found out that his housekeeper was an undocumented immigrant, he ended her employment and paid the IRS back taxes. What more do you need to know about that?
Well, you just need to know the sequence of when those events took place, if in fact that he did pay it back promptly when he found out. I think we're going to have a meeting later tonight to get some of that evidence, and I'm looking forward to seeing the preponderance of all the evidence to turn out what's true and what's not, make a conscientious decision for the people of America.
As you know, often what happens is nominees find out about these things during the vetting process, and then they try to rectify them before appearing before senators such as yourself. If he only rectified this recently as opposed to when it happened, will that be a problem for you?
Well, again, you weigh the totality of the evidence that comes out at the hearing we're going to have next Monday and the responses that he's given. Obviously, the weight of the circumstances adds that you get one in. So I'll take in the totality of all the answers and I'll make a decision then.
Back when Puzder was announced in December, you said this in part, quote, "I am pleased to see that the president-elect is drawing from his own experience in business to nominate a qualified, successful businessman and job creator to become our next labor secretary." But I guess the question is, if this undocumented worker or the abuse claims that have now been rebutted from his ex-wife, or even the complaints from staff at his fast food companies, would any of that be enough to take away from the good things you see in his nomination?
I think the most significant of those claims is the one where he hired an illegal alien in the United States of America, and she worked for him for 5 years before she was asked to leave and before he found out. Finding out the timing on when he found out and how he found out, that's important. The employees who've made statements about how they were treated, the other things he's talked about, that's all hearsay at best and really wouldn't be a consideration.
Senator Johnny Isakson, Republican of Georgia, it's always great to have you on. Thank you so much, sir.
You too, Jake. Thank you.